In our last video, we covered the worst types of people to be stuck with in a zombie apocalypse. But in this one, we're breaking down the kinds of teammates who would give you the best shot at making it out alive. And trust me, it's not all about muscles. The people who matter most are the ones who manage to stay useful when life stops being normal, when comfort disappears, and when everyone else starts realizing that survival has a lot more to do with skill rather than brute force. First up, someone raised in the countryside. These people start with a real advantage because they already know how to function without the comforts of the modern world. Unlike me, they don't fall apart without the internet. They aren't afraid of physically demanding work, and they often have a lot of skills connected to life off the grid. If the power goes out, the stores are empty, and daily life suddenly gets a lot harder, they're still useful. That mindset alone makes them a massive asset. Someone raised in a rural environment usually has practical skills that actually matter. They can work with tools, carry heavy loads, handle long days, and adapt to rough conditions without complaining non-stop. They're used to getting up early, doing what needs to be done, and moving on. In a collapse scenario, that matters a lot more than simply looking intimidating. And let's be honest, farm strength is real. These are the kind of people who look completely normal, then casually pick up something that would destroy your back. It's that weird, old-school strength that comes from years of actual work, not gym mirrors and protein shakes. But it's not just physical, it's mental too. People from the countryside are often more comfortable with isolation and unpredictability. They aren't shocked by discomfort, and that gives them a serious edge when everyone else is overwhelmed. And once the group finds a place to settle down for good, they'd be some of the most useful people to have around because they're far more likely to know how to grow food and make that place sustainable long term. When normal life disappears, this is the kind of person people stop underestimating very quickly. That kind of skill set is important, but when panic spreads, you need someone who can take control, the former soldier. One of the strongest people to have beside you when everything falls apart is a former soldier. And no, it's not just because they know how to fight. What makes them so valuable is their discipline, training, and ability to stay calm while everyone else is losing control. When panic starts spreading and people begin making emotional, reckless decisions, but the soldier is far more likely to stay focused and do what needs to be done. If they have actual combat experience, that becomes an even bigger advantage. Veterans know firsthand what fear feels like and how to function through it. They understand pressure, unpredictability, and the fact that bad decisions get people killed. That kind of mental control is very hard for civilians to replicate. A lot of former soldiers also have at least some medical training, and that matters more than most people realize. If hospitals are gone, even basic skills like stopping bleeding, treating wounds, or keeping someone stable could save a life. Sometimes you don't need a doctor right away. You just need a person who knows what to do before it's too late. They also understand that survival is a team effort. A good soldier knows staying alive isn't about acting like a hero. It's about communication, preparation, timing, and keeping everyone organized. While other people are arguing, they're already checking exits, watching blind spots, and figuring out the safest next move. In a world like that, order and experience can be just as important as raw strength. Staying calm under pressure is priceless, especially when someone's bleeding and every second counts. That's where the doctor comes in. Most people imagine dying in a zombie apocalypse because of the zombies. Realistically, a lot more people would die from blood loss, infection, untreated injuries, and basic illness. The second hospitals stop functioning, those everyday problems become crucial very fast. That's exactly why a doctor becomes so important. A doctor understands how the human body fails and how to keep someone alive when every minute matters. Even without perfect equipment, they still have something most people don't: knowledge. They can assess injuries, prevent things from getting worse, and make smart calls under pressure. In a situation full of panic and bad guesses, that kind of expertise becomes priceless. And then there's the nightmare scenario, the bite. If there's any chance that cutting off a zombie-infected limb could stop the infection in time, you want a doctor making that decision, not a panicking stranger with a dirty axe. They also bring something less obvious, but just as important: confidence. The second somebody gets hurt, fear spreads fast, but having one person who actually knows what they're doing can keep everyone calmer and more focused. That alone can stop a bad moment from turning into total chaos. In that kind of world, a doctor wouldn't just save lives, they'd help keep the entire group steady. Not every threat comes from the infected. Sometimes the real challenge is other people, and that's where the connector shines. Survival wouldn't depend only on speed, strength, or even knowledge. A lot of it would come down to people who can build trust, calm others down, make allies, and stop stop the group from turning on itself. That's where the connector becomes truly essential. This is the person who knows how to talk to almost anyone. They can read a room, pick up on tension, and adjust their behavior fast. In a world where every stranger could become a threat, that skill becomes a serious advantage. The connector is the one most likely to make a good first impression, avoid unnecessary conflict, and turn a dangerous encounter into a useful partnership. And that matters a lot more than people think. In a real collapse, other survivors are just as dangerous as the zombies, if not more. You'd need someone who can negotiate, trade, gather intel, and keep situations from escalating. A connector can do all of that while making it look easy. They know how to get people talking, and sometimes information is just as valuable as food. They're just as useful inside the group. When fear, stress, and exhaustion start wearing people down, this is often the person keeping morale alive. They can make people laugh, lower tension, and stop small arguments from becoming disasters. That kind of social glue can keep a group together much longer than most people expect. In a world full of suspicion, someone who can create trust is a serious survival tool. Sometimes the person keeping everyone connected is also the person keeping everyone alive. Of course, trust and teamwork matter. Still, none of that puts food on the table, and that's why the hunter earns their place. A hunter would be one of the most useful people you could have around. Not because they're some unstoppable action hero, but because they already have skills that matter when society collapses. They know how to stay patient, move carefully, read the environment, and catch details most people would miss completely. An average hunter shoots way better than a random civilian, and that matters a lot. When every shot counts, you don't want someone wasting ammo in a panic. A hunter is far more likely to stay calm, aim properly, and understand that patience matters more than emptying a weapon as fast as possible. They also tend to have real experience with outdoor life. Long hours outside, rough conditions, cold mornings, bad weather, and getting by without comfort are already familiar to them. That kind of experience becomes incredibly useful once survival stops being about convenience and starts being about adaptation every single day. And then there's the food side of it. A hunter doesn't just know how to find and kill animals, they often know how to process them too. Skinning, cleaning, cutting meat, and handling a carcass without wasting it are all real survival skills. A lot of hunters also have at least some basic cooking ability, which matters more than people realize when food becomes limited and every meal counts. That kind of skill set doesn't just help a group stay fed, it helps it stay alert and prepared. Food and awareness can keep you going, but sooner or later, something important is going to break. The radio, the generator, the truck, or even the water pump. That's when the fixer becomes one of the most valuable people in the group. This is the person who can turn broken equipment into working tools. They can repair a radio, get a generator running again, fix wiring, patch up a vehicle, restore basic lighting, or rig together a simple alarm system from scraps. And in a zombie apocalypse, that isn't just useful, it can be the difference between safety and disaster. A working radio means information, a working vehicle means escape, a working generator means light at night, charged batteries, and maybe even refrigeration for food and medicine. A fixed pump means water, and a reinforced door means one less way for danger to get in. These aren't luxuries anymore, they're survival. And what makes this type really dangerous in the best way is creativity. When there are no spare parts, no instructions, and nobody left to call, they're the person who can look at a pile of junk and still come up with a solution. They don't just repair things, they keep the whole group functional when everything around them is falling apart. In a world where every broken system becomes a threat, the person who knows how to fix things becomes hard to replace. And then there's the endurance athlete, the kind of person who becomes incredibly valuable the moment survival turns into movement. At the start of a zombie apocalypse, they'd be almost impossible to match. While everyone else is panicking, getting tired fast, or stuck in traffic, endurance athletes are the people most capable of moving quickly, covering long distances, and still making it back alive. That makes them perfect for supply runs. If the group needs food, water, medicine, or batteries from somewhere miles away, this is the person you'd want going. They're built for exactly that kind of job. Long distances, limited rest, heavy bags, and the pressure of knowing you still have to make it back. And it's not just about speed, it's about consistency. Most people can push themselves once. Endurance athletes are the ones who can do it again the next day and the day after that. In a world where survival depends on repeated trips, long walks, emergency escapes, and carrying supplies on foot, that kind of reliability becomes incredibly valuable. When the roads fail, the main routes get dangerous, and survival becomes a matter of who can still move. Endurance athletes stop looking impressive and start looking essential. And once you look at all these types together, the pattern becomes obvious. Survival isn't about looking the toughest, it's about being the most useful. So in the end, surviving a zombie apocalypse wouldn't come down only to strength, weapons, or looking fearless. It would come down to skills, mindset, and the kind of people around you when everything starts falling apart. Because when the world turns into chaos, the safest place isn't behind the strongest person, it's beside the most useful one. So who's the real MVP here, and which one are people underestimating the most? Let me know in the comments. There are definitely more survival types to cover, so stick around for part 2.